right.
Thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting for June 5th, 2023. If you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get the attendance, please, Maureen.
Trustee Lizickis.
Here.
Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee Vijay.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Shoneman.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the Village Board meeting for May 15th, 2023?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
By George. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Okay, bro.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the Village Board meeting for May 25th, 2023, the emergency meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second by George. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for 2022/2023 fiscal year for voucher numbers 63514 to 63582 for a total of $278,355.14.
So moved.
Moved by George, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract 2023/2024 fiscal year for voucher numbers 63557 to 63585 for a total of $168,007.66.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. For the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. So this is our first speakers and communications. There will be another one near the end of the meeting. If you have an issue or something you want to talk about, raise your hand. When called on, come up, please introduce yourself. Just name and address would be great. And let us know what's on your mind. Anybody? Very good. There'll be a second opportunity later. For our public hearing tonight, can I get a motion to open a public hearing to consider the special use permit application of Benderson Development proposing to construct an AutoZone retail store at 26 through 30 Gray Street, 7:07 PM.
So moved. Second.
Moved by George, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now open. Would the applicant introduce themselves and let us know about the project, please?
Good evening, my name is James Paglioli. I'm an attorney from Buffalo, New York. Giving copies of the virtually follow along. You can see that.
You wanna?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Well, this is my technology pulled out. I know the board is familiar with this property.
Thanks, Marie.
Especially permit for the application of AutoZone, located in Green. In that area, on the southern part of the village. Off of Gray Street, and down to the traffic circle. The one top shop that's located in this area, Gray Street. The location is on the west side of Gray Street, site is about 55,000 square feet, divided acre and a quarter. Of the site. The zoning as far as the project goes on the. The bay mix, zoning is limited commercial residential, LCR, which is where project again have use. Around the property to the left, the property located in the commercial district, to the east. Village Center, to the north, Village Center, to the south, limited commercial. And the property is formerly in Central Bank of America, with advisory lanes, It does have 3 driveways on Grace Street, and 1 driveway on the field or offset the signal back there. Coming in along. The neighboring uses, the area at the bottom, includes a McDonald's to the north, the large shopping center to the west, the Conway School to the south, and the road and mobile to the east. Directly behind this property, a few residential houses and 1 room. This is the proposed site plan for the project. In the LCR district, do require special permit for any building over 25 square feet. The lot is on site, building to 7,300 square feet. Building along Main Street. We are trying to consolidate 2 driveways that are along Gray Street and 1 driveway located south of the property. We are proposing 30 parking stalls, 1 ribbon screened by the building, a small lot left. We are pushing the driveway on Hamburg Street, the extent of our property, turning it from a full access to a right in, right out. Currently, a full access curb cuts, make left in, left out. If we're turning that into a right in, right out, which is why that's it. We are also proposing the driveway to connect through the Gray Street to Hamburg to bend that and have 2 speed tables. So it's slow traffic and discourage customers on that driveway. The project is code compliant, so variance is required. And we did look at shifting the building away from the Montessori School, which is located in this area. Building is 111 feet from the Montessori School. Setback requirement is 15, and beyond that. Intervening, solid board on board fence, landscaping area, retention area. We did push the building 66 feet to the rear property line. These are the 2 residential homes here in the parking lot. The garage is in the back here, and then they get the green space. Push the building 66 feet to the rear property line. So push it to that requirement. That 50 feet and we also exceed that. And we are proposing that the entire length of the property and landscaping the entire length of the property. We have done a lot of work on the building elevation on this site. If we develop 2,500 square foot building, could fit at least 3 of them on the site all along the base. That would be 7,500 square feet of building. What we did is we designed this to take 3 buildings inside. So as you can see across the front, this is the site of Gray Street. We have used this massing and time to break it up into 350 sides. The high point of this building is 26.9 feet, which is consistent with the residential 2-story buildings in the area. It's not 35 feet, 40 feet. We also use residential building material, party board plank siding, brick, party board shingle siding, and roof shingle, all approved. So we did carry through that. It's kind of that transition from Hamburg to Gray Street. We carried that through. The village code section 285 4 is the special use permit. What you should consider when determining whether to get a special. There are 11 criteria. I'm not going to read this slide. We'll go through this a little bite as we go through. First criteria: will it be generally consistent with goals of the village concept plan. We have 4 main goals in the concept plan, and they preserve the traditional character of the village. This project is not located in a traditional neighborhood, located in generally commercial. Site is formerly commercial, and the property is used for commercial use. This building is designed to fit into the village setting where it's located, relatively with the street frontage, provides pedestrian accommodation along the sidewalk, and provides architectural grade. We break the side the next criteria is properly managed strategic growth and development. This site is located in the village and does not require violation of the town. There's no public services needed to allow this project. The building is a size and scale design. Encourage investment in economic development. This site will be vacant. I've been spending 15 years. I would say this site will be vacant a long time. This project is involving the redevelopment of this site. Also, if we can in the village, what is on is not building in the village, or very retail. To provide safe and efficient transportation. As I noted before, we are improving the safety on Cambridge Street. Shifting the driveway, and removing the left turns in and out, we turn over the right in and out. We are improving the safety on Gray Street, and reducing three driveways to one. That reduces conflict, like we just in here, more driveways, more conflict to that. We are reworking the connection between the streets, slow down traffic. We are connected to sidewalks. That's just the next two criteria, B, C, and D are highlighted in bold. It will meet the relevant criteria set for the traffic. That means it's entitled to zoning code. And except for the special use permit, it does. Retail is permitted use in the LCR district. Project requires no variances, completely close to time. Project is being designed on Gray Street, the majority of the parking screen behind the building. Project exceeds the setback to the abutting school to the south and to the side, into the residential to the rear. When the project is on a good transition to the Gray Street as far as shopping. The next criteria is politically compatible to be existing usage adjacent to the property. I would say that it is located in former commercial area. Directly across the street is top, most notably the real voting dots top. To the north, is Donald, and Brookville, to the south, is the Mount School, to the east, is the two residential properties, the mobile gas station across the driveway, and the catering. Criteria D, we're not free to have the health safety and the general welfare of the public. This is actually improving the safety of the whole roadway. The project is consistent with the retail uses and scale along the roadway. And in fact, even the hours of operation is 7:30 to 9 p.m. on weekdays, Saturday, and 8:30 to 8 p.m. on Sunday. What you have in the area of the Donaldson store, that's open to 11:30. His orange bag went off, that opens at 5 a.m. The other retail businesses go. The next criteria for the area is will not alter the central character of the neighborhood, nor be detrimental to the neighborhood. This one area, our property is highlighted in red. You can see the significant amount of conversion business this business area and the 500 feet of property. The path market across the street. You have the McDonald's to the north. You have the Good Value, Oval, Brookville. You have the two lines. Another building with 2,500 square feet. The rest of the list is there. This is a commercial building, retail tenants, which is project the other buildings on Gray Street. The next three criteria, F, G, and H, it will not be a nuisance to neighboring land in terms of directing traffic, projectile noise, dust, glare, odor, refuse, fumes, vibrations, and sightings, contamination of the similar condition. It's a retail project, it's retail all throughout the area. All the lighting is dark sky compliant, there is no glare on any other property. This is not a food tenant, there will be no odor, the refuse that draws in rodents or smell. Will mostly be cardboard. Finally, next, it will not create an undue harm. It will create existing sensitive natural features on the site and the surrounding area. Fourth, adverse environmental impacts such as existing erosion or sedimentation, coastal destruction, flooding, climbing the water, and degradation of waterfall. There's no natural sensitive features exist on this project site or on any of the above projects. Project meets homeowner requirements in New York State homeowner measure regulations, will not create flooding, climbing water, degradation of waterfall. Next criteria 8, it will not destroy our personal impact to the source of cultural resources. The project site is for bank, dry cleaning, there's no significant historical cultural resources on the site when we need it. Last slide. I and J in this section, especially it will provide adequate landscaping, screening, and buffering between adjacent compatible with the project. I would argue initially that there's nothing about in this that is not compatible with our deck. Third, all the current sites actually abut commercial property in Bangkok. But the project does exceed the green space and the code. As I noted, there are 111 streets in the non-storage schools. You need to be in sense, and buffer, and the dry, fire retention basin. There are also 66 feet in the backyard, you know, and pyramid in this area, again, just like the one case. And the final criteria that will not otherwise reject the medical is public community welfare. There's nothing this retail business can back in that relation. That's generally the project. Your criteria, I'm happy to take that.
Appreciate you making some concessions according to what the planning commission had suggested, like. So the right in, right out, that's like the entrance to Tops now across from Key Bank, right?
Yes, if you want to-
Same structure. Mhm.
That was especially originally made for the project. There's no comment.
Can I ask, one of the things that I didn't see really addressed right here. It was kind of taken as assumed acceptable that having a 7,000 foot building on 3 combined properties is equivalent to having a max of 25 per each of 3 lots. But I don't understand. You know, can you help understand why that might be acceptable, or why you would propose that it would be acceptable?
One ownership. Consolidation or even if we develop an individual lot on this property, we have to have parking lots across, anything else is all done. If you didn't develop each one of the property individually, you have to put back individual regulation, you use only parking lot, if you invest in this case, that's proper, work back to industrial. And I will let you properties for free. Right. Effectively result in 3 properties across the front. As you saw, consolidated driveway, you can have a number of driveways, you still have a parking field across the back, you just 3 separate properties. Generally, the same back, buildings spread out across the front. That would be the same, you have the same square footage, more square footage. So, I don't think-
And you like pedestrian entrances on Gray, right?
That's
And there's gonna be semis coming in to deliver and. Yeah. Wait, how are they gonna back in? Oh, okay. Got it. So scale wise, you're saying that this is to scale with the surrounding businesses, just because of Tops and the Dollar Generals?
Shorter than the top. It's almost 26 feet. We have to meet the highest peak of this, that's the height for going to 19.
Hmm.
The sites cost 35 feet or higher. There's that much for the back. Both the building elevation is about 25.
You made reference to the Tops Plaza, but what about the relationship of that building to the other side of the street? Yeah.
So the other side of the street, this is the site, you have the mobile gas station, directly across the street, you have the blue one, and the first bill.
No, I think you.
And I asked for the size.
Side of this,
Yes,
I would say, I didn't measure any of those. I would say, with the global building, which is a bit larger, 2,550. I would say, the one is put the.
yeah, but none of them are the 7381 that you suggested.
Actually, two back right next to it.
That's roughly 4,000 square feet, which means your building will be roughly 75% larger.
That is
And if you were to add more property, then by your rationale, you could put a bigger building in.
We can't enable property, we don't have any more property, we find enough property.
But I guess, and this is where I was going from, you know, my question. In theory, if from what you explained about, you know, how it would just be good to be able to accumulate properties and put and a building of the multiple of the maximum square footage on that property. A person could accumulate 10 properties and the same rationale would apply
What I'm saying is.
to a 10X building.
A special use permit. And, no. This project, if this is important to build on the site. You would still, the benefits between this will be together. Reduce the amount of driveways on the roadway, connecting the site together across the back. You broke this building into 325 and 50 buildings, you have done effectively the same site plan, possibly with more. And as far as the scale of the building, we have worked for a year to change the design of the building, it's not always only the company that looks like this. Break up the building, it looks like individual. Again, it is, and as far as scale goes, even the height is made that consistent with the scale. But the really one, change the building with more consistent.
Pretty, the lots there's 3 lots there, correct?
That's correct.
Then the 2 lots that used to be residential and the houses were raised probably a decade ago, I'm not sure. But that is primarily a lot of it's covered with trees, quite a few trees will have to go down there. And then right where the building, so you set it offset. As you pointed out, 111 feet away from Montessori, but then that puts it directly across the street from 2 houses that are 1,000 feet at the most, 8. I mean, the residential
Both
structures that are
100,000,
there.
I think.
So,
The squeeze between the, that's why the squeeze between your job.
all residential structures.
Then I was consistent.
Yeah.
That is my concern, is that there's a lot of limited commercial residential around it. I know you talked about the commercial around it, but there is some limited commercial residential that, but quite close or across the street from it, which I feel like puts this project in a weird place scale wise when you compare it to those, the building this size.
That district is designed kind of do residential commercial. That code, and there are 2 residential houses that are just to the top, they're going to be small, they're stuck to the top. And then once it's a larger, but it's supposed to be. And this is not, the other side here, but it's not like you're working with, you're not making that transition. We try to accomplish that at the scale. Those houses that cross the street, we still be set back 20 feet or drop 26 feet. So it's not going to have that impact. It's not going to fill up the building. Not like there's space to cut, but still, it's almost 3 feet.
Yeah. Excuse me, you mentioned the gas station. What would be, I would say, south or west of that on your drawing? Right there, yeah. All right, what's in there? Those don't appear to be substantial buildings either.
Residential.
There's a little remix.
Yeah,
It's a glass place.
Those are smaller units. Yeah, the reason I asked the question is the definition dealing with what constitutes a limited commercial, a transition zone, which is newer to the code than some of those older buildings which have existed for years. Talks in terms of being a transition or buffer. And I found it interesting between two or more incompatible uses such as auto-related uses and single-family residences. Which I suppose it depends on how you consider an auto-related use, if it constitutes a auto store of 7,400 square feet.
It's a retail, not other, just like. Family buildings, if you know, they do whatever, you got drive down shop. Not a car dealership, it's not a drive-through, it's not a food restaurant, it's retail. Qualified as retail, and it's sold as a retail. The use of retail, often calculated as, that's how you put it.
Yeah, well, they also defined the LCRs as dealing with, what they consider smaller retail facilities, professional offices and things like that, which this clearly is not.
I'm
That smaller end.
concerned about the message it sends to George's point to other developers. Who then think that they'll be able to cobble together lots to build bigger buildings in areas that. Where it's questionable that they belong.
And some of those buildings pre-existed your code change. So obviously you can't unring that bell, it's already been wrong.
Anybody else have any questions for the developer, for the applicant? No, thank you, James. Thanks, Liz. All right, as we open it up to public comment, I'm gonna ask Kathy to read, I think we got a letter, an email. For somebody who'd like it read into the record, would you mind?
So this is to the Village of East Aurora Board of Trustees. Request that this be read into the record tonight as part of the public hearing. We are writing to voice our opposition to the proposed auto zone on Gray Street in our village. The proposed development is in an LCR district. The residential district purpose statement for the limited commercial residential designation adopted October 7th, 2019 says the purpose of the LCR district is to accommodate the broadest range of housing choice in immediate and close proximity to supporting commercial shops and services in accordance with the village's adopted comprehensive plan. The purpose statement goes on to list specific objectives of the LCR district, all of which can be found in the Village Zoning Code, Chapter 285-20.2, letter D, numbers 1 through 6. Objective number 2 is to protect established neighborhood from the type of land use associated with more intense commercial operations, including but not limited to large, unscreened, or highly visible parking areas, high levels of traffic, illumination, noise, and odors that could be detrimental to the characteristics of the residential neighborhood. That ends the quote from the code. We feel that the proposed auto zone absolutely flies in the face of this district's intent. The village worked for nearly 3 years to rewrite our zoning code to reflect the vision that the residents have for East Aurora moving forward. This hard work, scrutiny, and public input should not be ignored. The argument that it is near an intense commercial development, namely Tops Plaza, so it should be allowed simply is not logical. All the public input received while rewriting the zoning code clearly reflected no desire to extend the intense commercial area of the plaza with like development. In section 285-52.3 special use considerations, there are several items that contraindicate approving this development, such as the compatibility of scale to surrounding uses and the potential for negative impacts on neighboring uses. In section 285-52.4 special use permit review criteria, 2 stand out as obvious with regard to this development. A will be generally consistent with the comprehensive plan, and E will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood nor be detrimental to the neighborhood residents. Finally, the ability to apply for a special permit to allow for a bigger footprint in this district could be reasonably considered if requesting an extra 500 to 1,000 square feet. The request to go from the allowed 2,500 feet to 8,000 seems to violate the spirit of the code in this district. Please know, as our trustees, you are within your rights to deny approval of this development simply because it does not reflect our vision and intent as a village. Sincerely, Karen and Mark Lee, 570 Fillmore Avenue, East Aurora.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to speak on this issue? Sir?
Here to speak in opposition to the proposal. As you know, planning board voted unanimously to accept it. And you as trustees and mayor should consider the 4 factors for considering the use of the Is it substantial? Absolutely. Is it a detriment to the area?
Excuse me, sir.
Hold
Okay. Thank you. I didn't do it. Well, we're not sure. Thank you.
Detriment to the area, yes. Is there alternatives? Yes, and I'll get into that later. And most importantly, is it self-created? Absolutely, yes. By my count, there are 5 unfilled storefronts in the Tops Plaza, which the petitioners, owners have, are the owners of, and they can use that for this type of building. And there's access in the rear for deliveries. They don't care about the village appearance. Theirs is financial. So I don't think we should care about their financial capabilities. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this topic while the public hearing is still open? All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:36 p.m.?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, the public hearing is closed. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion on the resolution to approve or deny the special use permit application of Benderson Development proposing to construct an AutoZone retail store at 26 through 30 Gray Street?
I propose we deny the application.
You making a motion to deny the application? You get a second?
Second.
Second by George. First made by Steve, second by George. All right, further discussion. I talked about what my concerns were, that it just scale wise,
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem like the right fit for this area. When you look at the the code, especially that close to those LCR properties, including some that are residential. Yeah, it's 75% larger than the largest commercial structure in the zone. Yeah. That's where I'm coming from. Anyone else?
I think that as this flowed in the way it should have, through this process, I think it's been pretty clearly stated that, especially special use permit is not applicable for this, given the constraints of the current zoning.
Anyone else?
No, I'm just the size is just, I can't get over it. And I appreciate them trying to mitigate and everything that they've done to that piece. I just don't think it fits there. Yeah.
Right, when we look back at the intent of what we did with the rezone of the entire village. The purpose of the LCR district, the scale of it,
Oh,
I completely agree.
yeah, I just,
So we went through years of effort for that.
oh. But I appreciate the effort that,
Absolutely.
What they did and the turnouts and, all the concerns that people had. I think it just comes down to size for me, so.
All right, we got a motion by Steve to deny the special use permit application of Benderson Development, proposing to construct an all-zone retail store at 26 through 30 Gray Street, seconded by George. Any final discussion? So voting on whether to deny this, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do I need to do this as a roll call?
Do a roll on that.
Roll call, I think.
Do I need to do this as a roll call?
You shouldn't.
Okay. All right. Anybody opposed to denying this? All right, special use permit was denied. Thank you for coming, James. I get a motion to approve a Hamlin Park temporary use permit for the East Aurora Middle School for field days on Monday, June 12th.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second. Second by Grace, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a Hamlin Park temporary use permit for Revive Wesleyan Church for Church in the Park, Sundays, August 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th from 8 to 1.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
By Ernie. Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Would you like to give us a quick high level, please? Hi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Garrison. I'm here from Revive. I'm part of their outreach team. So we did Church in the Park last year. We have submitted the permit. We're aware of the 10 a.m. Restriction for the sound. We do have a decibel meter as well. And so we also are aware of no parking on the grass. We have that clearly expected of our people that come. We have somebody monitoring that. And we only use the driveways for loading and unloading with the stone off of the place where the bathrooms
South
are in
Road?
that area. Yes, correct.
Mhm.
And so,
So you bring it in, you deliver it in the gravel area next to where your actual event will be. And you'll have amplification, but you won't start it up until after 10 a.m.
correct. And we walk the decibel meter around the perimeter before we start it up, just to make sure that it does meet the code requirements.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something we've kind of massaged over the years because, residents like living by the park. They like a peaceful
Correct.
Sunday morning. But they also live on the park. So they have to understand that too. So trying to find that balance. We
Correct.
appreciate you working
Sure.
with everybody on this.
Any other questions?
Anybody else have any other questions? Okay.
One minor comment, I'm
Sure.
absolutely in favor of using it. I happen to have a personal experience of somebody who was using the park and somebody who was coming from the church. In their terms, aggressively
Requesting,
introducing themselves
Yeah.
to them and
Sure.
so. That's my only slight concern.
sure.
Because it is, it's obviously, you're welcome there, they're welcome there too.
Yes.
So that's my only
Sure.
light ask that maybe you bring that back, but.
Sure. I appreciate that. I'm responsible for the volunteers, so I can have that conversation with the greeters about expectations of people just passing
And
by.
I don't know whether it's official or unofficial,
It's okay. It's worth it. We don't want to have that perception of we're trying to drag people in. So understood. Thank you.
okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, could you say your first and last name just so I have it?
Sure. Heidi Garrison.
Garrison, thank you. All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Moved by Kristen, second by Ernie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Give me just 1 minute if you could, please.
Hmm?
That's terrible.
Sure. All right, D, can I get a motion to approve a Hamlin Park temporary use permit for the Orchard Park Warriors 140 baseball team to use the baseball diamond on Thursday, June 14th from 5:15 to 8:15 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second,
Second.
second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a motion for a temporary use permit for Baker Memorial Church to hold their Strawberry Festival on Saturday, June 24th from 10 AM to 3 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Amali, second,
Second.
second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Wallawans to hold a beach party on Saturday, June 24th from 3 to 9 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second,
Second.
second by Grace. Further discussion? Would the applicant like to step forward and tell us a little bit about it, please? Who are you?
Hi, I'm Ben Holmes from Wallen Wines, throughout my official address is 1714 Emery. I want to have a beach party with Genesee. So some ruby red kolsch, some pineapple kolsch. We're gonna put some sand in the parking lot, beer truck, little bit of music, nothing crazy. It's just a Hawaiian themed thing, so it's not gonna be anything crazy, but it will be amplified just because of the size of the parking lot. Yeah, Joe Matucci is gonna bring in sand. Most importantly, he's
How much
gonna.
sand?
Yeah, that's.
I forget how many yards he said it'd be. Matt might have a better idea. I don't know on scale of.
Is it gonna be like a
20 yards.
lip to it, like a sandbox?
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, we're gonna put a lip on there. It's not gonna be the entire parking lot. Obviously, that's a lot of sand. And I asked Joe, because I'm like, you can get sand. I'm like, can you get sand out? And he said he can, so.
Local cats will love it.
Yeah. We're gonna be one of those local cats. So yeah, amplified music, some sand, some beer. I know I put on there 3 to 9. The event's actually 4 to 8, but I always like that little bit of wiggle room. You know, people show up a little bit early, but should be out of there. It's not gonna be crazy late by any means. Shouldn't be too wild.
And I'm not going. No,
Where are you going?
It's not gonna be wild. I mean,
It'll be calm compared to this upcoming Saturday. I'll just say that.
Matt, do you have any concerns with the sand?
Yeah, and we're gonna have it up away from the road. I'm gonna move everything up a little bit. And then, like I said, Joe's got a plan to keep it all contained and get it out of there, so. Leave that to someone that knows a little more about sand.
You gonna have a stage?
Maybe just my little stage that I have
That one that you
there,
do.
you know, all kind of depends.
Yeah.
I think it's just a 2-3 piece band, so it's not gonna be anything too crazy.
All right, anybody have any other questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Thank you, applicant.
Thank you.
Moved by Steve, second by Grace. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I got a motion to approve a temporary use permit for the Hometown Market EA to add a farm market date of Sunday, July 30th.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second,
Second.
second by George. Further discussion. It's the same thing, just adding one more day, right?
Right. The day of the beach party, right?
Got it.
Oh, not the day of the beach party.
Any other comment by the trustees?
Mm-mm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I got a motion to set a public hearing on June 20th to consider an application from Janet Berth at 562 South Street to maintain 3 or more dogs.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second,
Second.
second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set for June 20. I get a motion to refer to the planning commission on July 11th, an application for an amended site plan for 185 Main EA LLC, Clark and Katie Crook for 189 Main, 189 Burger, proposing to replace an existing concrete patio in front of each of the 2 front windows and install a metal railing to each.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second,
Second.
second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, refer to the planning commission for July 11. I got a motion to refer to the planning commission on July 11 applicants for a site plan and a special use permit for Tim McGee and Chris Contento for 425-433 Prospect Avenue, proposing to add 4 additional dwelling units on the 3rd floor of existing apartment building.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. It's referred to the planning commission for July 11. I get a motion to refer to the planning commission July 11 applications for a site plan for a special use permit for Alexander Finnerty and Christina Finnerty for 404 Main Street, proposing to establish and operate a cafe with outdoor seating.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by Molly. Sorry, I ended that on like a dangling participle. I sounded like I was gonna keep talking. I need a period at the end of that sentence, whoever's making up the agendas, please, so I know when to stop. All right, moved by Kristen, second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, refer to the planning commission for July 11. Can I get a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with the town of Aurora for police services for the term June 2023 through December 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion?
I had a comment. The front page, I think, has the wrong dates on it.
Yeah,
Is that-
Maureen handed me one with different dates.
Okay. Oh, 28.
2028.
Should there be a day for June or just the month of June? All right. All right, so Steve and George, do you want to amend your motion and your second to make that June 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2028?
Yes, please. Yes.
All right, so amended. Any other discussion? That was a last minute change. Apologize to the board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Here's another one. Can I get a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Erie County for the Stop DWI program for the term January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023.
So moved.
I got everybody confused. Kristen, moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to appoint Kate Ronan to the HPC for a term ending the first Monday in April 2026?
So moved.
Moved by George, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion, is Kate here?
Yes, right
Hi
there.
Kate, how are you? Good, thanks for doing this. You know, it doesn't pay, right? It pays in that warm satisfaction that's helping your community, and we really appreciate it. I'm serious. I always say that the volunteers are the ones that really drive the whole ship. So thanks for being willing to step up and do this. And Mary Ann Callipy recommended you. She's the chair of the HPC. So thanks again. You've already been to a few meetings,
There's
right?
been a few meetings I've been there and asked some good questions.
And you still want to be on it. So good. That's great.
Why am I being there?
Bob hasn't screwed it up for you. That's great. All right, so am I all those? Oh, no, I haven't made a motion to have. Oh, yeah, George and Grace, there it is. Any other discussion? Anybody have any hardball questions for Kate while she's here? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, congrats, thanks again. I get a motion to approve a one-time stipend of $2,000 for Christine Cipolla for out-of-title work, filling in for the deputy clerk treasurer for an extended period of time.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by George, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to appoint Chris Trapp to the position of village prosecutor for term ending the first Monday in April 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Grace, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Moving on to old business, discussion of the safety committee report addressing a request for no parking on one side of North Willow. Who wants to lead that up? Kathy, you wanna? kick that off?
Jump in. That we got two separate resident requests for this that were forwarded. The board was made aware of it and also it went to the safety committee. And I'm gonna let Shane talk about what the safety committee decided. The residents did provide some pictures supporting their desire to get no parking on one side. So you have seen those. And then I'll let Shane talk about what the safety committee talked about as far as all of that goes.
Just on the safety side of the issue, the street's wide enough to have parking on both sides. It's not there's not a lot of trucks or anything. It's basically just a little side village street. They do have more traffic to the nursing home because the bridge on the nursing home's property is closed. So to go to that back half of the nursing home, they have to enter off of Hamlin or South Willow. And one of the bigger issues we've had in that area is complaints of cars going too fast. So one thing that will not help that issue is basically widening the street. So it's easier to go faster. So after looking at everything, the committee determined on a safety aspect that there was no need to change the parking. But if you guys want to do that, that's up to you guys.
I've talked about this before. I saw that firsthand on Sheer when I was actually going door to door, just talking to residents. And most of them said one of their biggest concerns was the speed of traffic, people kind of cutting around the Maple Center, the Maple and Main intersection. They fly down Sheer. And I had parked my car and then somebody else had shown up and parked across the street, kind of right across from my car and went in their house. I was over here talking and we're watching the cars and they would all slow down to go in between the two cars. And I'm like, oh, I go, maybe you guys should park on the street. You know, you're watching car after car slow down to go in between.
Right.
And it is a traffic calming measure. I mean, it works, you know.
And one of the big issues pointed out, and I think both letters, the people seemed a little miffed that their neighbors parked on the street, but it's legal. So, and if they have multiple drivers in the car and it's easier to leave a car on the street instead of moving it every time somebody wants to come or go from the house. So we didn't feel that was really a safety issue.
I get it where it's, you know, when there's cars parked close. Like I had a neighbor who, he doesn't have any room in front of his house and he parks in front of my driveway, basically. I just said to him, I go, hey, can you just back it up a little? So as we're getting out, we can kind of see what's going on, you know? Yeah. How's the rest of the board feel?
Yeah.
I mean, not in general. How do you feel about this?
The other question I had was, are you able to still leave a fire truck down through there?
Yeah, there's plenty of room for that. I mean, school buses fit down it. So, yeah, it's the fire department. Roger didn't feel there was any issues with fire trucks getting down it. The DPW's trucks move all throughout the village and don't have an issue, so.
It wasn't raised in the commentary, but I mean, we have a lot of streets like this in the village. And the only place where I actually think that in my mind, this actually comes into a slight safety concern is when parking is too close to an intersection. And then you have people kind of pulling into a place where somebody, you know, you get a point where nobody can get off to the side.
You're forced in the middle of
Well,
the road.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but
it's
this
not in the
was brought up
village.
here.
It's on the village code, but there is a state law that you can't park within 20 feet of an intersection.
Right, and that usually gives you enough.
Yeah,
Wiggle room.
and mainly the only time we really have an issue is that when we have a large event and parking's crazy to begin with, you know, the fireworks, music fest, sidewalk sale, situations like that, when there's a lot of outside traffic coming in and parking.
And that's a pretty popular call that dispatch receives, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Is cars
Blocking
blocking
driveways
the
and at intersections, correct.
The other thing I would add is, sorry, I don't remember who said it, but like. I lived in another place where the culture was, you don't park on the other side of the street opposing somebody's driveway. You know, and it was just a cultural thing. And, you know,
They back out,
back,
they're not paying attention, they
Mm-hmm.
run right into the
yeah,
car.
so I mean, it's, and I grew up in the '70s when they had really big cars, and maybe it enforced itself a little bit better, you know, but, you know, maybe we could just be a little bit, you know, more, they can be a little more considerate of each other in doing this, but I don't see a problem.
More conscientious.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Might well. Oh, sure. Yeah, you know what? It would have been good if you spoke at the first public thing, because this isn't an actual public hearing. But if you want to make a quick comment, what's your name and address? Sandy Sharp?
Andrews?
We record it all, so
They recorded, yes.
thank you.
Okay. I totally disagree with you. I live on that street. People park on both sides of the street, right across from each other, right across from my driveway. I have a daughter and it's very difficult to back out into the street to get out of the driveway. We have people walking their dogs. We have people from the nursing homes constantly walking around with wheelchairs and everything. The Public Department of Public Works, they had their truck trying to go down the other day. And on here,
What address are you at? You're on Willow?
North Willow. For one thing, it couldn't even hardly get by because it's both sides of the street. And then anyone who are parked anywhere near any of those don't get their front of their houses cleaned up,
Well, that's a street sweeper.
the street cleaner. Also, when I come home from work, there's constantly people backed this way and we have to jig jag to see who gets to go through first. And if anything, they don't slow down, they get pissed off and they drive faster.
They want to
Down the street.
They want to beat you to the car.
Correct. So I don't think it's advisable to solve your safety issue of people driving too fast in the village by jeopardizing our safety on our street.
And if I can just add, in the last 3 years, we have not had one reportable accident in the area.
Well, you're lucky.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I guess it's part of living in a village where you have to navigate this. I mean, you don't have the narrowest street in the village. There's other even
No, but
thinner
these
streets.
people have no common sense, nor do they care about anyone but themselves. They park, they have ample room all over the place. They have to park right across from each other. And then these people have to have three, and these people have here. Then you try to get out and back into the street and you can't see by it. So, you know, say a kid's on the street, bike, whatever, I can't see it.
Yeah. Is it the same couple of cars parking in the same spot
There's 3 or 4 cars that are always parked in the street.
from one household or?
One has 3, one has 2, the other sides here and there, there's 1, 1, 1, 1.
Mhm.
But it's just the one block from what's that, Fillmore to Parkdale. The next block up, which is by Pasquale's, has only one side to park on, and we're just asking for that to be extended 1 more block up.
I'm just looking at my map. Have you, I guess, Ms. Sharp, have you talked to the neighbors at all? The people, like with the 3 cars, the 2 cars, and tried to kind of work out a solution for everybody in your,
They seem to feel
in your
that
block?
it's okay, so.
So you have talked to them?
I have talked to them, because I know that, one day we were looking for a brush line, and I said, come on, you know. Can you just not have it there? And they said, well, you know, but you know. This is my daughter. She's a relatively new driver, not real new, and, it isn't easy to back out with the car here, the car here. It isn't.
No.
And I think it's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you want to come up and state your name and address, you can say your piece.
My name's Diane Santee. I live at 79 North Willow. I agree with Sandy about the speeding. The speeding is the cars pull up behind the two parked cars on either side. And they literally stop and then they pull out and speed even faster. I sit on my front porch every night and I watch this and it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. I don't see how using parked cars to slow down cars when it's causing another hazard. I don't understand why that would be a logical thing. It is only one block. There's stop signs here and here, so people do stop. The only people I notice that really speed are the ones that are caught behind the cars. And they're all trying to rush and get through. There's a lot of traffic from Pasquale's, especially on a Friday night at 5 o'clock. People
Running to
park-
get their food and
Running at their.
hot
food,
footing
they
at
pull
home.
Our street to, disperse to wherever they're going.
Mhm.
And again, with the there's a little bus that comes from the nursing home. They can fit through, but nobody else can fit through. So there's a car here and a car here. And a vehicle's coming through. There's literally two people waiting over here and two people waiting over here all the time. And they just can't. So we're just asking for the one block to be continued. And it is that way on Hamlin, one street over. They have no parking on one side, both blocks, which is adjacent to our street. So.
Thank you. Other discussion from the board?
Is there a way we could eliminate just some of the parking? To make it somewhat easier for people trying to back out? We had a safety issue on Oakwood when we shifted the parking from the south side to the north side with a resident who had a problem with backing out of the driveway, and there was a perceived, trying to get out of there out of Oakwood. And we were able to give her, a spot to make it easier for her to get out. Is there a way we could do something like that? Or is that too much trouble?
I think your point about sheer is that it's double the length, right? So there's no stop sign in the middle of it. So it goes all the way from Parkdale to Maine. So they don't have the one stop sign that this one would have in between it.
Mhm.
So it's not like you can gun it. I mean, I'm sure you can, but between those two blocks, I mean, there's a stop sign at both ends.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean,
So what are you saying?
why don't we just do it? It's the same.
Eliminate parking on one
Yeah,
side.
side.
Extend it one more block.
One more block. I
I
mean,
don't see that that's a problem, and I think there's also, but on the other hand, the police chief has also said we've never had an accident. I do agree that possibly you'll have cars going faster, but then you're making it safer for people to back out. Pedestrians, it's getting more traffic now because of the nursing home, because the bridge over Tannery Brook. If the nursing home is closed, you have people in wheelchairs going through there, and it is a narrow street.
well, is there stuff on Hamlin? I mean, if
Hamlin's narrower than Willow, isn't it? Hamlin's a narrower street by how many feet?
you get a lot of cars coming down from Hillcrest that way though, right? I mean, right?
Hamlin wouldn't have allowed for parking on both sides because it's too narrow.
Hmm.
So that was
Yeah.
why that's probably never
That's why. Okay.
changed.
Looks like 6 feet narrower is what it says in the safety committee report.
But then
That's a
you're
whole car
also
width.
eliminating
It is.
parking, but then you're also by removing parking inside, you're eliminating parking for the residents of that street too. And but no one's here to argue the point of not wanting to lose
Yeah,
that street.
It's a good point. They're gonna come in.
They gotta come in and
say,
So,
we don't have
If you-
park.
If you just from the whole picture of it, if you eliminate parking on one side and that many people in that block park on the street, they're all going to park on the one side. So you're not going to get rid of the issue of people backing out of their driveways, not being able to see on one side of the street. So it's only going to favor one side of the street.
Hmm.
There's gonna be one side of the street that has to back out onto a parked car. There's gonna be another side of the street that's to back out through two cars into moving traffic. That now, if the theory holds, I've heard about the theory of choke points on streets and stuff like that it slows traffic. I appreciate that
That's a
you
good
don't think
point.
that that's gonna happen, but it'll be possibly moving faster on the street.
Right, and
And then one side of the street will definitely be backing out through cars. Instead of spreading out the parked cars, you're gonna put them all in one side.
I mean, you could say the same thing for my street. We have parking on both sides and it's a pretty narrow street, but we can still get trucks through, but it definitely slows down the traffic. When Maple was shut, people are using North as a cut through. And I was outside loading our car up to leave. And people were flying down the street and my husband moved his truck on the street and they totally slowed down to come around parking because there's a car on either side of the street. So I think it does help. And if you start doing it for one street, who's to say my neighbors don't come in and say, we don't want parking on our side anymore, too.
Or you're gonna get the other half of the population that likes to park on the street coming in and saying, why can't we park on the street?
Right.
Yeah. And that, to me, at least in terms of moving quickly on this, is my greatest concern. Like, if we tried to make a decision tonight,
You
And
can't make a
didn't-
decision tonight. You'd have to have a public hearing.
okay,
Yeah, it's a law change.
okay,
This is just a conversation.
okay, I knew guy is still playing that
I
card.
mean, I don't know if there's a way like, in front of Walla Wines where the parking directly in front of Walla Wines starts, you have, it's marked, it's painted, there's a line that ensures that someone parked on that corner where Elm Street crosses Oakwood at the corner of Oakwood and Elm. At Walla Wines, there's a little diagonal marked line that moves people off of Elm Street. I don't know if there's a way we could do that to move parking off the driveways to center them so that we don't have people parking too close to someone's driveway. I don't know if that would solve the problem and help with the visibility.
Do that throughout the village.
Yeah, but that's a problem. Then you got,
Right.
then we have DPW, that's all they
Stripe
do.
everywhere.
And
Yeah.
that's another cost that we have that, I don't know if there's a way that could, a simple.
I mean, it's against parking regulations to block a driveway. So they can't block the driveway.
Or even within, is there a footage?
I don't believe so. The car has to have egress and
Oh,
able to
okay.
come and go.
Is it like the edge of the apron where it flares out? Is that the line
I
right
mean,
there?
that's generally what we would go by.
So they could call the police and the police would come and take the cars.
Yeah,
if
I
they were-
mean. If it's, like I said, if it's Music Fest and it's a 6 inches into the curvature of the apron. And they can still come and go, the driveway we probably aren't gonna be able to do too much.
Somebody doing it regularly.
Regularly, we could be taken.
You guys want to continue to monitor this and maybe everybody should spend a little time over there and just kind of see what the residents are talking about as far as people speeding up to go through there and then they can call the police if somebody's blocking their driveway. We could see if we want to act on it in the future. Does anybody want to do anything different?
No,
The one thing that I was gonna just add to the conversation, it's poignant to me that we're talking about neighbors parking on the street there. If we were talking about people from the like nursing home employees or something like that, we're not. What we're talking about is potential to like unsettle the parking issues of other residents. And that's why I'm a little bit careful and concerned. I want to say is I'm very much hearing you. What'd you say? Which,
Oh, it's just part of the street.
right,
There is a stop sign on every block. So as far as reducing speed by having our cars in the street, they can't go that fast between stop and stop other than one stop.
right, but so that's kind of.
I think that's.
I think we're talking different terminologies or definitions of speeding. They're not speeding, I don't believe. They might go fast for a short distance. But we're talking maybe 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour quickly. We're not talking 50. Right? Okay.
All right. Why don't we all check it out and see if we want to do anything different after some observation.
Sure.
Moving on to our second speakers in communications. Anybody have any other issues they'd like to speak on? Raise your hand and be acknowledged, sir. Come on.
Hi. My name is Rick Hill. I own property on 1899 Center Street and 1734 Boys Road. I live in Buffalo. My communication tonight is about driveways and off-street or on-street parking on Elm Street across from the bakery, on the side of between the caboose and the grain elevators. I parked there one morning, and when I came out, there were two cones placed right up against my vehicle, which I went to move, and the owner of the Elm Street LLC told me not to move the cones there. He had called the policeman, was going to have me towed. And I said, for what? And he said, for blocking his driveway. And I'm like, tonight I'd like to know what constitutes a driveway and what constitutes a parking space. On Elm Street, it appears all the driveways have concrete aprons defining the entrance to a driveway. I was not blocking any concrete apron. And it was 140 feet of roadway that he claims is his driveway. There is a 32-foot apron to access his property. When I looked at the town code, a property has one entrance for egress and exit, or entrance and exit. Minimum is 20, max of 32, which is what that has. If it has an entrance and a separate exit, then the minimum is 8 foot with a maximum of, minimum of 10, maximum of 20. And there's only one apron on that property. So is there on-street parking on Elm Street?
On both sides of the street? Because, I mean, I know what he's talking about, but everybody knows what he's talking about, right?
Right.
Like, there's businesses that put up signs on Elm Street that sit. Is it just one?
It's the guy who owns the Green Tower and the caboose. He owns the whole property, right? Elm Street, was it Elm Street LLC, I assume?
Well, Bookworm has signs up too.
For their private parking.
No, on Elm Street,
On that country curb or whatever that is.
whatever that is, yeah.
That's their parking.
So, but if I'm going into a place that's not them, am I allowed to park on the street?
In front of their building, yes.
Okay, the sign tells me the other.
I think the bigger issue here is for the grain elevator, the caboose. There's multiple areas you can come
Get in and out of there.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like I haven't looked up the code, but it sounds like he's claiming more area than he's allowed by code.
Because it's open almost
From that property.
from the edge of the building all the way to the caboose. It's almost entirely open. There's like 3 planters there.
But he blocks pretty much everything off from the building to the corner.
And so the question is that legal? Right?
On the street.
So why don't we
On
look
the
into
street,
it?
He's blocking it off.
Yeah,
I
Mhm.
also like to make further comment that and the business is not open, in the morning. He does open, when the caboose is open in the afternoon. And people do access. So I understand, maybe during when his business is open, but maybe he should apply for a permit and put concrete aprons in. I was reading the code for a parking lot of 10 vehicles or more. It's to be concrete, asphalt, or non-dust surface, which doesn't meet any of those. It's to be striped. It's not striped. It's to have concrete barriers between the parking and the building. It doesn't have that. It meets none of those criteria by our town code. And this gentleman gets very aggressive with people who park on the street. And he got very aggressive with me, and it doesn't go real well. I have a short work. I got an adrenaline issue. I try to maintain.
Well, your self-awareness is admin.
So.
All right,
anyway.
so we appreciate it, Mr. Hill. We will look into the legality of the parking and whether he can have all those egresses and all that open space without all these things, and we'll see how we're gonna proceed with it.
Does he still have the chains on the trees? Because that was an issue at one point too.
Yeah, I just
I
drove
think
by
they
the other
took
day,
those
and
out.
it was putting cones out.
Yeah, I was told by somebody, and it may have been a previous code enforcement officer, that even parking on the over the tops of the gutter on the west side of Elm Street was also illegal. That they're not to park on the above on top.
So you gotta be
of-
entirely on the road,
Yeah, that
your
was
tire not on the country curb.
over the top of, right over the top of the gutter, the concrete gutter. Because there's no curb, but they park over the top of the,
They straddle it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah.
and then on the gutter, over the top of the gutter as well, that somehow that's not kosher. But that was-
Bill Nye changed our policies in the police department a long time ago about allowing them to park on the gutter surfaces when that street started to get busier,
Right,
to get them out of the street a little more.
that's right, I mean.
Makes sense.
Really, if the tires start after that country curb and come into the street on both sides.
You
you're
can't
not
get a
gonna
car
be able
there.
to
Yeah.
get Anything through
Yeah.
there, yeah. Especially if they're parked across from the telephone poles, which come right up and push the cars out even farther.
Mhm.
Rough. Let's first at least look at the legality of this guy's parking lot and how he operates it and how we enforce it.
We'll chat, Liz.
Just delegated that to Chris.
Above my favorite.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for bringing this to our attention, Mr.
I think that is.
And for keeping your cool. You did fantastic.
Yeah, you did great tonight.
Yeah.
You're not so tough. All right, we appreciate it again. Anybody else want to speak publicly on anything? Raise your hand. Good, okay. Moving on to the department head report, Shane.
Favorite weekend of the year coming up.
Dealing with a couple of summertime type issues already. If you're not aware, we've had a couple of the senior banners from Main Street stolen over the last couple weeks. And we also have been having individuals starting little fires in our newly remodeled bathroom at the park. Nothing crazy yet, but we're working on it. If you guys don't have an issue with it, we were going to start locking up the little loop bathrooms in that building at 6. And then just leaving the Grove open unless there's a baseball game going on or something at the time.
Well, baseball, football. Right,
Yeah,
that
but
stuff.
usually that,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing,
gotta keep it open for those events.
yeah, but usually in the evening, there's not too much going on at this time of year anyways.
Yeah.
And then it's just, I mean, if there's no activity down there. Unless the police officer happens to pull in when the kids are in or whoever's in starting fires in the bathroom, it's gonna be tough to catch them. We can work on a camera. I got quotes a few years ago I think it would be a good tool, but they're expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll
I think
start.
it's worth it because bathrooms are expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, we've just done this, so.
Gotta protect our investment, and
Well,
if
it's
we
the
got
thing,
cameras that were on that pole that's between the front of the bathrooms and the pickleball courts. Right, if we got, especially the dome ones, that you can move it around.
Yeah.
I mean, then you could kind of scan that whole area, and keep an eye on the parking lot for the guy that complains.
Well,
about the
Okay.
people going there.
I'm not saying we're going to have somebody monitoring it 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you have
unless,
the option, you just click on, I mean. I
yeah,
have a
I
friend
mean,
who-
the best. It would be a burden for the dispatchers a lot of the times to have to pay attention to that while they're doing their responsibilities.
But if they can click it and they, click on the scene and they can see.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff
if we get a report that there's something going on, then they could move it to that direction. If we have an issue, my idea would be to train it on the area of that issue. Unless we have a need to move it.
You got a recording you could reference.
Right. Right, we can go back to the,
So many advances in
yeah,
video technology now. I mean, the doorbell tells you the minute somebody, is walking past on the sidewalk.
right.
Yeah.
I think it would be a great.
We're not gonna ring for
All
the
the deer we figured.
telephone pole.
As a teacher, we've never had so much vandalism of bathrooms. We've had to close bathrooms. The kids are destroying them. It's a thing now.
Yep.
Bad behavior is in.
Yep.
And doing things damaging public property is in. And behaving badly is in.
I mean, I'll stick up to, for some kids, Ernie, you spend a lot more time with teenagers than I do.
98% of the kids are great.
Are good.
Hope
We-
you want to
It's
defend,
that- it's
hope you
that
want to defend the other
percentage
kids?
that causes the problem. I know
Yeah.
the one over there is probably okay.
But it's no,
Done that doing damage and give
Yeah.
everyone else a bad reputation. And why, it's unfortunate that we have to then shut the bathroom at 6 o'clock because there's an old guy, me. Sometimes taking a walk through there and I gotta go and I gotta go find a friend's house to knock on their door.
Well, the Grove will still be open. The Grove bathrooms will still be open till 9, but.
Is that just gonna move the problem?
Those are old. so
Yeah, we don't.
the-
Yeah, I'm hoping if we can't, I'm hoping if we can't catch them, that we can break the cycle. And they'll stop doing it for a while and then hopefully we can open them back up and it'll.
We put dummy cameras right outside the bathroom.
I wanted to put one right up in the bathroom, a dummy camera.
You'd be on.
That's frowned upon.
It's not gonna be an actual camera, just a dome stuck to the ceiling.
That'll just be unnerving for everyone.
Put one outside above the water cooler.
Yeah, we could try that too.
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about dummy cameras publicly.
I didn't want to.
A little late for that.
Well, we also talked about real ones, so.
I don't think the high school-
They're not being the
I don't think you listen to Facebook broadcast.
No.
That's not what the kids are into.
So that's all I had for
That's all
right.
your
now.
problem.
We do, I'm
Let's
sorry,
move on. And we'll
Yeah.
see if we can't get a grant or something for the
Yeah.
cameras too. I know for public safety, those are available and things are available. So hopefully we can find something that'll.
on a hiring note, I called for being down 2 positions. I called for the civil service test. They just had the test. I just got the brand new list out. And we have two applicants on it that passed everything. So
Great.
that's not good.
Oh. I think
No,
it is.
usually we have like 10
Oh.
on the list, on the
So you
civil
got a
service.
choice of two out of two, right?
We've got 2
You mean two total?
total.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they're both really good.
Mm.
They'll be in the top 3.
Yeah, we don't have that rule to worry about. So we'll be interviewing them hopefully in the next week. The next police academy starts the end of July. So to hire anybody, we gotta really get moving and
Neither of them have been through the academy?
no, we haven't had a lateral transfer apply for over a year and a half. So we're in a position where it's unheard of for a department our size to send 2 people to the academy at the same time. But we might have to do that this go around. Correct. But everybody's got the same issues, so I'm not gonna be out the 15 that Tonawanda is hiring and the 12 that Cheektowaga is hiring and so. That's it.
Thanks, Shane.
Yeah.
Matt,
The tennis courts and the basketball courts are coming along. We got the surfaces primered. The streets foreman is laying out the stripes for the tennis and pickleball. And then after that's set up, then we'll add the color to the courts and then put the basketball hoops up. And we're very excited for Music Fest.
What colors? is it?
Blue for the court and green for the surround. And I don't know if it got flipped at some point.
Have
Matt,
you seen?
that sounded
I
very,
saw a post online about blue and
Yeah.
how birds will poop on it because they think it's water. I don't know if you've seen that post recently, but tennis courts that are painted blue, they like aim for it.
Why, birds usually aim to poop on water, not cars?
Yeah, I know, that seems.
I didn't check Snopes, but there was a lot of photos of it. There was a lot of photos of it.
There's a lot of photos of bird poop on everything.
Yeah.
Make sure it's recorded. Look out.
Better watch out when we're walking out the park.
I think it's maybe something we should look up.
And we're like 0 for 2, fires in the bathroom and. Yeah. Wrong color.
I still have a parking question for later.
Ooh,
For later,
Oh.
he's teasing it.
When I get to talk.
I don't know if Matt's seen all the discussions about the sign on Gerard again, but
Oh, Lord.
that's gonna just be an issue all summer probably.
You know, it's 4th time it's been knocked down now.
What is that?
Crosswalks.
Fire Street.
At North Grove and
They are made to be run over.
Don't you, I actually have a question about that. If somebody drives over that and goes, oh man, I hit it.
Yeah.
Don't you think from then on, they're gonna be super careful? Like, is it the same guy driving it over it 5, 6, 7 times?
well, it's kind of weird. I've never hit it. And I promise that that's true, because now I know that they're all just dummy cameras, but no, no, I've never hit it, but I do turn left there a ton. And where, like, it sits right
It's the location.
where my car's, left side panel is, or, up to the roof. I was wondering if from a safety perspective, it wouldn't be better, and if somebody's gonna hit that, they are also gonna hit the child who's standing right next to them, right? I mean, in theory. I was wondering if if the crosswalk should be on the right side of a T intersection, so that they're not, crossing against like the left turn of a person, and they're crossing against the right turn.
We looked at it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, last year, I
and-
think.
And we did come to the conclusion that you could move it to the right and it would prevent the sign from getting run over.
Isn't there a tree?
We
that
need
could-
curb
But
cuts, yeah.
there would be a tree that would need to be removed and curb cuts and sidewalks put in to move it. And
Yeah.
come with some expense.
And it wouldn't be
So-
perfectly ideal for the kids who are coming to school.
I mean, I personally don't feel if there's a kid standing in the crosswalk near the sign that they're gonna run them over. I think they're gonna see anybody in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It's when they're crossing from a narrow street onto a much wider street. And Gerard's busy, so they're looking both ways and they don't come out into the street and make their turn.
Yeah. No, and it's not dangerous, like, by any stretch, it's East Aurora dangerous, but you do got to pick up speed a little bit there, and then also it's the last thing you're thinking about. So that, I'm sure that's why people hit it.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody's gonna hit a kid, but it doesn't mean that, like, that sign has been hit a lot of times.
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
And that happened a lot when we had, first put the sign on Main Street in front of the police station for the Boys and Girls Club. Same scenario, people coming left off of Main Street, making that left, we're running it over regularly, they still do. Not as frequently, they pay attention, or they, because of traffic, you're taking more right turns off of Main Street, but.
I never hit it because my wife's a backseat driver, so I always tell them, don't hit that sign, and watch out for that kid. It's because it's like taking driver ed every time I get in the car with her.
So we just need more Carolines in the
Oh,
village.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've never hit it because of her.
Or do we do restriping of crosswalks every year? Or is it every year?
October.
Perfect.
Do we do all of them or just the one on village roads?
We start with the school areas first and then
Is that next
move
one?
out from there.
I do like how that sign is right now.
Tell he's getting close to retirement.
That sign is in like 4 different pieces, each piece like.
Well, Matt does a good job of rebuilding now. He's
Yeah.
been fine
Yeah.
for months.
Yeah, it's.
He's got it down pretty cheap.
It's a Frankenstein right now. It looks good.
All right, anything else, Matt?
No.
We got Liz, the best part of everything.
Two things. The Walnut Prospect subdivision has one lot left to be developed. They're moving along. We should have the final grading done within the next couple of months with that perimeter drainage and everything like that. I've been out there every single week since before they put the shovel in the ground, and there hasn't been any issues between the Walnut Street lot and any of the Center Street properties. So that's moving along, and I've not had any complaints on the project so far. And then NOMO May is over. So the first week of June, we have driven all over the village and sent out notices to folks whose grass has yet to be cut. And we'll probably continue that over the next week or so before we send out official violation notices. But most people after the NOMO May have hayed their lawns, and things are looking up in that department right now. And that's all I have.
Good.
Hey, Liz, I got a question for you about that.
Yep.
There is a difference between choosing not to mow your yard and there are some people in the village who have like really, really nice wildflowers in their yard.
I don't
Does it-
care.
Does that ever get into a thing? Like, is that?
There is a New York State code that requires you to cut the plant material over 10 inches, period. It doesn't matter that they're flowers, that they're wildflowers, that they're pollinators.
So,
You need to cut your lawns.
so what happens do you define something differently if it's a bush?
Yeah, well, yeah, those are planted materials. That's not grass and weeds. And that's
Oh,
what
no.
people have to
Could
cut.
someone theoretically make their whole front yard a garden?
Yeah, they have. In
Oh.
fact, just go right around the corner here on Sycamore Street.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So somebody has a nice garden that just happens to be a little bit wilder than some other people. I'm
Yes.
just wondering if we're in because it is happening in other parts of the country where people are getting into big fights about this. I was wondering if you countered that.
No. There's a difference between cultivated and not cultivated. And that's how we have historically enforced that code.
Okay.
Right? And for weeds versus, other plants are defined in the New York State code. So,
Okay.
yeah. But it's time to mow your lawns, people. Just time to mow your lawn.
Thank you, Liz.
I don't really have anything specific. We've just been continuing our transition, which is going well. Everybody who's been helping out, Christine included, you had mentioned tonight, and then Sarah is relatively new and doing a really bang up job. So we're really happy with that. Of course, Gretchen is helping out whenever asked also, and Maureen is leading all those efforts. So, and I'm helping out a little bit here and there with trying to help the planning and zoning. So that's all going well. And then our new person is starting again, coming up on Thursday. So that'll be another training. The person has experience for what we're specifically doing with planning and zoning, but there'll still be a transition period for that. So it's been super, super busy because of that. So obviously, but everybody is pulling together to hopefully meet all of their needs, and we're not missing. That's my paranoia, is missing something, but hopefully that's not occurring. That's all we have.
Thank you. Maureen?
Happy New Year. June 1st was our new year, and I'm opening our new year and working on closing last year. And the tax bills are out, so come pay your taxes. But I will say, and even our new person will say, we have really awesome residents who have already been here to pay their taxes and are so happy and nice when they come in to visit us. And we're very happy when they come to see us.
Awesome. Thank you, Maureen. Steve?
All set.
I just wanted to say that the sign coming in on Buffalo Road looks really great, and thanks to the Rotary for doing that.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It does.
They did a nice job.
Are they putting up the old, like, individual, like, sponsors of it again?
I don't know. I thought they said they were going to, but yeah, I haven't
They
seen
have
it
like-
yet.
It looked like 3-rail, like, just so it looked like they
That's
could
not
hang-
where they're gonna put
they
it.
could hang them
Yes.
there, but I don't
Yes.
know.
The sign looks great though.
Yeah, I just drove in the other day. I was like, oh, and you don't really think about it. I was like, oh, it looks so much
Yeah.
better coming into the village.
That's good. Is if they can
Yeah.
put in the business names And then if the business changes names or moves to Mexico or whatever, they could change it and update it.
Yeah, it's like a split
Yeah,
rail. It's like
have
a
it
straight
still look
thing and they
nice.
can just put it on it. Yeah, anyways,
Great.
that was really nice of them. So I just wanted to thank them.
'Cause, yeah, the first time I drove by it was at night. And even so, I was like, oh, they fixed that. Looks great. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
in the dark, it looked better.
Awesome. Anything else, Molly?
No, I'm good, thanks.
George? No, thank you. Okay, Ernie?
Just one thing, there's a car and I've talked to the chief about it. And there's been a car parked in front of a house on South Grove Street for 3 weeks. And it's been left there almost like it's been abandoned and it's kind of, you know, the neighbors, the residents are annoyed by it. And I understand people have a right to park their car, you know, on the street whenever and leave it for a few days or whatever, but I don't know if there's some way we can, and I hate making more laws. But it just seems like, you know, at what point does a vehicle like that become an abandoned vehicle if it doesn't move for 3 weeks? You know, I don't know, it's an annoyance to the neighbors.
Hey, we did check on it. It's owned by a couple. Their granddaughter has been in possession of the car and she lives in the village. It wasn't abandoned. We can deal with abandoned cars. If we can't find the owner and we deem it abandoned, you know, if the registration's expired or what have you, we can address those. Even if there is a law that says you can't park a car without moving it for 2 weeks or something, it would be very difficult for us to prove that. We would have to sit there and watch it for 2 weeks. Yeah, so, yeah,
Right.
you know,
So
so,
we had that one in the public parking behind Tim Hortons. And the old Burger King building that had like raccoons living in it for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
And you guys tracked it down and figured it out and got
Yep.
a code or whatever.
so.
I think it was still there as of yesterday, I think, or a couple days ago, it's still parked there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just, I'm just, you know, I feel for these people because they're looking at this car and they're like, you know, is it ever gonna move? Like, I don't know.
We could change the side of parking in the street.
Well, people have a right to have, you know, people have a right to
Yeah.
park on the street, you know, so,
Mhm.
Still.
you know,
It'll move by November
yeah,
No more.
just in time for Thanksgiving.
when our snow plowing goes into effect.
I can.
Thanks, Ernie. Anything else?
Nope.
Grace Vijay.
So, I'm gonna bring up Maple and Pine. We were a little frustrated. They had the community input meeting last week.
I know, like, they told,
Yep.
I just.
They
fu-
did
the
not
day
let the village
before.
know it
They
was
didn't tell us
happening.
about it.
The comment period for residents to issue complaints or comments is ending June 14th per CNS's website. For the county, it's ending June 30th. So I don't know which one is accurate. If we can get some kind of awareness of the residents. It's on our website now. I'm probably gonna reach out to the advertiser tonight or tomorrow and ask them if maybe they can put an article in there to kind of get some more community involvement on that.
I agree with you, Grace.
We have all
I'm
the
frustrated with
information.
how the county handled it. I mean, we met, they asked to meet with us in February with Matt and Kathy and myself. And we kind of went over the project at the time, and I was already disappointed that their rollout dates were 2025, 2027,
Right.
right? Were they hoping for 27?
They're hoping for 26.
Maybe 26 if they get the federal funding from Maple,
Yep.
with 2025 for Pine. So then we noticed, Kathy, you know, saw it on Facebook the day before. And we asked them, Grace, Kristen and I were at the meeting and we asked them what happened. And then Kathy followed up with them and they're like, oh, we put it in the East Aurora B 2 weeks before, and we put it in the Lancaster B 2 weeks before also. Yes. Not even on the official village site. They put it on the
Right.
county Facebook page. And then they didn't notify the East Aurora Village government. It just smells like somebody who didn't want feedback. You know what I mean?
And they weren't interested in entertaining another public comment meeting.
Yeah, they talked about another public comment meeting, but then Kathy, when I asked you to reach out to them, they said they weren't gonna do it, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're not gonna do a second meeting.
Mm.
So that was it. They had 5 residents showed up and 3 trustees.
Mhm.
Which,
Some of those 5 were ones I texted the day before.
oh, was it good? But it really sounds like somebody who doesn't want feedback. you know? So whatever we can do to encourage residents on Main and Pine, I think they're gonna send cards, they said, after we reached out to them. Right? They said they're gonna send some sort of notification to the residents. I think that's what, no, so they can provide feedback before the deadline. Well,
But if the deadline is
Yeah.
next week, when do they get the notification?
Right.
Right.
And right now. Do we have we heard about any concerns other than pure timing? Or is that the main thing?
the topics that got talked about at the meeting we were at, they were concerned if Pine was gonna be widened in any way. It sounds like it's not. It's gonna be about the same width, I think 26 feet.
Concerned
And
about removing trees.
yeah, they don't think they'll have to remove, she said, generally, we won't be removing any trees on Pine, which leaves them a little out, right? But then on Maple,
There's quite a few on
um,
Maple.
we talked about, do we try to get the sidewalks to run further? Was that north on Maple,
Yeah.
like all the way to the apartment building,
Seniors.
that kind of thing.
Building.
That apartment building actually has a sidewalk exit,
Yeah.
On the-
mid-block
Street.
on North Street.
Yeah.
So they can get out that way. I have seen people coming down, Maple in the street. Cause they're going to top, I asked them and they're like, oh, we're going to top, so we didn't wanna go to the other end of the property and then come back.
Yeah.
But if you add sidewalks there, you would take out 6 huge trees on the east side of Maple. And there's a telephone pole, so if you tried to get around the trees, you'd have to move the telephone poles into the trees, and then you'd end up with those trees that look like this.
Mhm.
Cause they'd have to clear them out, it's just, I get it, it is tricky to do. And then you'd also put it on that property owner. You know, hey, we're putting a sidewalk in and now it's your responsibility
Mhm.
to take care of it from now on.
We
So-
discussed maybe lowering the speed to 30 earlier than right at the village line up on Maple more.
Did they talk about that? I don't remember that
Mhm.
part. They talked
Yeah, I
about
talked to someone.
Yeah.
Potentially, because people are still going 40 when they hit
it. Mhm.
Oh,
the
yeah.
stop sign on Maple.
Yeah, but they said.
Dead stop from 40 to 0.
But yeah, the residents' concerns are like, it's like a war zone now and we gotta wait 2 more years before you're gonna do anything, like
Completely
Divine,
valid.
Mhm.
you know,
Completely
so
valid.
maybe.
Prevent
Yeah.
people from doing 40 stop sign.
Well, Maple's more beat up after the stop sign.
But one of the things that came out of the meeting I thought was good was, we talked about truck traffic on Pine, that's what the Pine residents are really concerned about. And we've been trying to wrangle this, Kathy's reached out to some of the frequent flyers who drive trucks on that street. And we talked about doing like a truck route plan for the village. We need to get, I think they said the county and state need to sign off on it.
Mhm.
Then you'd have set roads like Maple, 20A, Center, Olean, Seneca Street would be the roads that trucks are allowed on unless they're making a local delivery. Which would drive the heavy truck traffic just to the main roads and keep them off some of the smaller, more residential roads. So I think we should move forward on that. I
Mhm.
think that can only be a good thing. And it sounds like it wouldn't be that hard to accomplish either. So that's one of the positives.
Everybody on April.
There's.
But they're already getting trucks, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All the trucks from.
Can't go on light, it's gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, they're gonna go somewhere, but
From a narrower village street to a wider village street, right?
it does make some sense to plan it
Yeah.
from our perspective and say,
To
okay, well, what would
disperse
make
it,
sense?
We'll start to put that together and we can all talk about it when it's put on the agenda to discuss when we have more details.
Mhm.
Sorry, Grace,
That's it.
keep going. What else? What else you got?
That was my thing.
That was your thing.
Well, I'm glad you guys caught that. I mean, that was,
Kristen,
I don't think I really have, so I think we were talking earlier about poorly behaved kids. I think we're about to see a bunch of poorly behaved adults this weekend. So, just some, hopefully people can behave themselves. Not cause too much trouble for the police. Good luck, Shane.
Shane, you got everybody on? Everybody who can be on?
Everybody. That's not in the military.
And you're happy with the security solution that they've put together for it?
Yeah. That was all right last year.
And you got the lights, right? You got the lights back?
We won't know about the lights until it gets started. Okay, see you later.
All right. good.
That's all I've got.
All right. Another thing that Grace Chris and I talked about was the parking signs. That just say no parking. In the overnight parking, 12 to 4, whatever it is, in the parking lots. We thought it would make sense to change them to say from, whatever, November 15th to March 15th, or whatever the snowplow regulation is. So that people know the rest of the year they can park there in case they have, the deleterious effects of the alcohol they consumed catch up with them. Surprisingly, they're more likely to leave their cars there if they realize they're not going to get a ticket. Because Shane, you said you're not ticketing in the off season anyway, right? The non-plow season. But a lot of folks don't know, especially folks from outside the community don't know that when they just see a sign that says no parking. So I think what's involved, Matt? What's involved with changing the signs in the public parking lots? Do we?
Okay.
If I can make her one, I mean, you and I discussed through text about people, as we talked about on the street parking there all the time. I would recommend putting some sort of time limit on parking back there. I mean, it could be it could be 12 hours, it could be 24 hours, but something. Or else we'll have the complaint about the black school bus that parks on Linden, or campers coming into town and parking there for a week at a time.
That's a good idea.
Issues like that. So just something that we can at least write a ticket on. If people come and hang out there.
And all of the leases that you have in private property, when you specify in what one parking, so you have to fix that.
Who?
All
No, who would have to fix that? I'm kidding. You negotiated and got all those contracts signed, so we can talk about it and what's gonna be involved in actually changing it. Yeah. Right. Good call.
Or
Great
you
point.
could just put another sign underneath it that says, if you are unable to drive after parking here, it's only a $20 parking bill.
Oh.
A lot cheaper
Yeah.
than
Nobody
That's how
gets
much
hurt.
parking ticket is, $20 bucks?
Yeah,
So-
I kind of like that.
I mean.
Overnight parking
$20
ticket, $20.
People might see it, go, cheaper than an Uber.
Yeah.
That's true.
Bandits game, it's $30.
Right.
I mean, if you don't want to get arrested, $20 is the deal.
It's true.
Bad idea, actually.
An Uber and $20.
Right.
Yeah, like, people don't realize that it's not like,
It's not
Crazy.
$250.
But I
yeah,
think-
exactly. I
I
think
gotta
that's
get towed.
They're cheap. I mean, it's-
right.
If you don't pay it, it keeps doubling or whatever through the courts, but if you got
Oh, I know.
7 days to pay $20 park.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I like that idea.
Mhm.
A little sign that says $20 parking fine for violating parking rules.
Yeah. So they don't think they'll be towed. Yeah, because towing's a different ballgame.
Towing is always the worst part of that.
The
you know?
worst,
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars and you gotta go get it. I left my car overnight once, up on Union Road. Had a friend drive me home and then the next day they were actually coating the parking lot. Yeah, there's feeling it. And so they ended up towing my car because it was,
Brutal.
I'd done it before. It wasn't a problem, but Steins at volleyball place, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'd done it before. It was always fine. And then I showed up in the morning and they're sitting there coating the whole thing. I'm like, that's not good. Like
One of the-
$160 later.
One of the greatest welcomes to East Aurora that I, had when my family moved here was we had just moved in. A month later, we were on vacation in Michigan and we got a phone call and it was the East Aurora police. And I was like, oh my God, like what, like, how is this even possible? And they called and they said, did you own this kind of car? I said, yes, like this is even worse, like, what's going on? And I said, oh, we're paving Hamlin. And are you renting a house on Hamlin? And it's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of creepy, like, I don't even know.
You know every.
And they're like, do you mind if we just put your car in the driveway? And I'm like, yes, please. You know, and then I was like, okay, I'm like, we've just moved to like the friendliest place on earth. You know, it was just amazing. It's like,
It's hot wired or just tow it into it?
just towed it.
One of my coworkers in Orchard Park Middle School years ago, when they had the Quaker Arts Festival,
Yeah.
and they send out the memo to all the employees that we can go home early so they can set up their booths for the Quaker Arts Fest in the parking lot. She didn't read the memo and went out with some friends to go do something and was gonna pick up her car later. Forgot it was Quaker Arts Festival, comes back and all the arts tents, the booths are all the way around. It's in the middle, surrounded by, art.
Tense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going anywhere.
Displays.
That's great.
Well, eventually they had to take down and move it, and she, it was like this weird thing, but.
All right, that's all I have. And that's it. So can I get a motion to adjourn at 8:55 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second,
Second.
second by Grace. For the discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming, you all.